It's another of our Meet Your Legislators segment from the state capitol in Bismarck. I'm Scott Hennon, and today we get a chance to chat with Representative Austin Foss for the segment, brought to you by the North Dakota Petroleum Council and the Lignite Energy Council. He represents District 44 in Fargo. Tell folks where District 44 is in Fargo.
Thanks for having me, Scott. So that is downtown and North Fargo.
All right. And downtown is, I would say, probably, top 5 destinations in all of North Dakota, isn't it?
Oh, I love living down there. I love the atmosphere. I love walking to, 40 different restaurants and businesses. Yeah, it's great.
And by the way, the success of downtown Fargo can be attributed to legislators and others who long ago said, you know what? There's not much in the way of tax property revenue coming from our downtowns. Maybe we should do something like the Renaissance Zone and get it going, and that's still working, isn't it?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it is really revitalized the downtown. I wasn't necessarily there, when it first started, but when I went to NDSU and from where it is now, just the change is insane.
As you walk downtown Fargo or the door to door in North Fargo, what are the issues that are most important to people?
It was property tax was number one for sure. People are just fed up with their property tax bills. They wanted relief. They wanted reform. Many individuals, later in life, they want their property tax capped, right? Because they're on fixed incomes. That was probably the number one issue that people had.
We haven't talked to a lot of Democrats about that issue, but talk a little bit about the governor's proposal and the legislative process so far, and what your caucus has in the way of priorities.
Yeah, I think that we're prioritizing relief, and we would like reform in a way that benefits everyone, including renters as well. I don't think we've seen a proposal that includes renters, which is unfortunate. I think that we might bring something in the next legislative session for that. But it is nice to see in many of the policies, and I think we at the House are sending over 3 major ones in terms of property taxes, and it's nice to see that we're extending that primary residency tax, or we're just over the blanket over everything giving property tax reform, and then also in a sense making sure that these political subs are also not, increasing your property tax inexorbitantly, or you have the ability to change that if you'd like, and increase those caps as well.
What do you hear from the city leaders in Fargo, the commission members, the mayors, related to what property tax reform is going to look like, which will be a cap on spending? What are they saying?
They don't like it. They are not in favor of that, which I think is why there was an amendment in the governor's bill specifically that kind of addressed that, where individuals within the city of Fargo or any political sub can increase that cap or remove that cap for 10 years by a vote. And so, if the people of Fargo believe that, we do need to increase that cap and we do need to keep up with the growth that we're seeing in Fargo, they have the ability to do that.
And does that scratch that itch, do you think? Do you think they'll be satisfied with that?
That's a good question, Scott. I'm not sure. I think it's a compromise, but I guess I'm not sure if either side will necessarily be happy.
I'm not sure I could find somebody that would say, you know what, you don't have to cap spending and don't do it for 10 years. I mean, wow. But that's something you believe needs to be in this legislation.
I think we're just hearing from people, door knocking, and we're just hearing from our constituents that it has just been rough. And I get it. I get where the city of Fargo is in a precarious spot. I mean, we are growing at an exponential rate. Like, it is crazy. And I get that, our revenues need to be at a certain point. But also, people are mad, I mean, that's why the Measure 4 came to be. I talked to many people in my district that voted yes on Measure 4 because they are just sick of it. And I don't believe that's the answer. I don't believe that cutting property tax altogether is the answer, but we need to have some compromise.
And what you're talking about in the way of concerns from the City of Fargo, Cass County Commission, Fargo School District, and other local political subdivisions is they have the release valve of being able to say, this is so important, citizens, vote for this, right? So they can increase spending. They just need to do it with the authority of the taxpayers.
Correct. Yeah.
So you've given them that flexibility, at least. That relieves a little bit of the concern.
Right. And is it enough? I don't know. I mean, we'll see if the Senate, amends it further after talking with these political subs. But yeah, at the end of the day, we will get something out that helps every North Dakotan in the ways of property tax. And that's exciting.
This is your first session. Was it your first run for office?
Yeah, it was actually. So, my political foray was basically just the Downtown Neighborhood Association. And that kind of, I guess, got the itch in a sense. Meeting people within that realm, people within the political realm. This spot became available and I really wanted to represent, quite frankly, the minority in this state, because we still need to have a voice. There are still people that, believe in our values, and I wanted to be there and be that voice.
Is it hard being a Democrat with so few of you in these halls?
It's not easy. It's definitely not easy, Scott. But what I will say, and what I've been continuing to say is, it's nice that there are a majority of Republicans that still want to work with us. They still want to create legislation that works for every North Dakotan, and they know that we are the voice of a significant portion of North Dakotans, and that we need to be at the table.
Talk about your life experience a little bit, your background, and what informs you in your work here in the legislature.
Yeah. So I actually grew up in a small town, Hatton, North Dakota, near Grand Forks. Went there for up until high school, graduated, and then went to North Dakota State University for architecture. So a 5-year program. Amazing program. And I was able to graduate. I lived in Minneapolis for a couple of years, but then came back to Fargo. Really my home. This North Dakota has been my home, right? I am a North Dakotan, and I love living in Fargo. I love the people. I love everything. Being an architect has been great. I'm also started a board game publishing business as well. So that informed, project management skills, communication skills that I received too. So in addition to being an architect, also an entrepreneur.
The board games come out of the Hennon House, especially at the holidays. Have you got a favorite?
So not including my own, which Cultivate, shameless plug here. I'm really enjoying Wingspan. Wingspan is a great game.
All right, I'll mark that one down and tell me about Cultivate.
Cultivate. You play as a satirical cult leader, and you're trying to gain the most followers into your compound. And it's actually a light game. You're just trying to create a pattern within your 4x4 grid, and you're playing cards and you're sabotaging other people. It's really fun.
Wow. How do you dream these ideas up?
Honestly, it kind of just came to me, and a friend and I, that we've had it on our bucket list to create a board game, and we got together and we had this idea and we just went for it. And working with Emerging Prairie, we were also within that realm and that co-working space, and so there was just this entrepreneurial energy around us, and that's how we created the business.
Is that an active space as far as your retail these days? I mean, how's the board game business doing?
It is highly saturated. It's kind of crazy. I think a lot of people, especially during COVID, were just sick of screens and wanted more face-to-face interactions, and board games allow that.
Wow, another fun example of great entrepreneurial, ingenuity, and we love it when it happens in North Dakota.
Yeah, no, it's been great.
Anything else you want to tell us?
I think that should cover it. Yeah, I'm excited to get to cross over, and excited to get all the Senate bills, and I'm just looking forward to the rest of the session.
District 44 Representative Austin Foss from Fargo, downtown Fargo, North Fargo. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you, Scott.